Welcome back. You're watching Commodity Champions, and the cryptocurrency market has improved after a near meltdown on the back of sell-off in wider markets on Monday. Bitcoin fell below 50,000 to Feb lows as investors fled risk assets. Meanwhile, Ether's 25% decline in a single day was the most since May 2021. Will the rising tensions in the Middle East and concerns about the strength of global economy ate into investors' confidence? The bloodbath led to over $1 billion in liquidation in crypto futures market. Bitcoin prices have fallen by over 16% in the past 1 week, while Ether has seen a slump of more than 24%. Joining us to talk about crypto markets and, of course, various issues at hand is Dilip Chenoy. He is chairman at Bharat Web3 Association. Mr. Chenoy, hi, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, on the price moves itself, and of course, every global asset was declining, and so were cryptocurrencies in that sense. But the way the global markets are right now and the prices have moved, what's your sense on what really could be the step ahead?
Manisha, thank you for having me here. And, as you know, BWA does not really look at the crypto prices as such. But since you asked the question, I think, Sunday and Monday events were unprecedented in the world, right? So given that, it actually affected every market, and the crypto markets were no different. You will see, while week on week, as you're showing, and day on day, or from a 6-week high price, the prices declined. But I think the signs are that there'll be some stability before there will be some recovery going forward. But again, a lot depends on what happens in the Middle East and in other parts of the world, because that could trigger different reactions from a different set of people.
Oh, well, absolutely. And let's also talk about concerns at hand and within Indian markets on what really has conspired with WazirX, nearly $230 million of a highs there. Of course, the exchange has been coming on yet and again with various kind of solutions, haven't gone down so well with the participants and public at large. What's your sense on what the learnings are from the global markets on this one, and how would India or how would the exchange now look at it?
So I think, Manisha, that the response from the exchange is one thing that, I'll just briefly talk about, but let's talk about the future. I think the exchange is trying to gauge what the investors in their community want, and therefore they've conducted polls, etc. And you'll see some more of that happening. The good point is that the exchange, like all the other hacks that happened earlier, is looking at paying back their investors in full, but it makes some time going forward. And it's a process that is going on, and it's not appropriate to comment at this stage, accepting that they are engaging with their stakeholders and they're trying to find a solution going forward. There are two lessons in this, and this is what you actually talked about. The first is that, okay, what is this whole cybersecurity and the security issues there? So what we at BW have done, we've actually written out to all our members, and members have started nominating their representatives on the chief IT security of the CISO group, and we're going to look at sharing best practices, look at global best practices. BW is also reaching out to its international partners and trying to see how we actually address this issue collectively going forward. And that, getting out best practices, looking at self-declaration, getting and posting things so that the customers know what the state of action with each of the exchanges is, right? And it may be with other companies as well, which are consumer focusing. The second is that, as you're aware, that we've got our consumer code, right? We had developed a consumer code that was really focused at the whole issue of anti-money laundering and the FIU kind of compliance and the consumer, etc. We are putting together the whole legal team, legal committee, and the compliance subcommittee are getting together. They're actually the meeting will happen, maybe in a few minutes from now, must be happening at this point of time, to look at getting in inputs and collectively looking and updating our consumer code and actually looking at how to address such issues so that these things are known before something actually happens like has happened in the recent past.
And that's not just it, because Mr. Chenoy, there was another news report that I was reading that there also has been a tax show cause notice which has been issued to Binance. I mean, this is all source-based really, at about $86 million in India. And Binance has challenged it. And this is a notice that covers from June 2017 to March 2024. I mean, as you said, there's work being done within Indian market so that we can look at legal and compliance issues here. How would you read this story as well?
Well, the issue really here is that if you're operating in India, you have to comply with the Indian laws. As you're well aware that we have a 1% TDS, we have a 30% tax, and there's no offsetting of losses. And I think if you're serving customers in India and they are trading on your platform, then on the commissions that you make, the GST authorities believe that tax should be paid. So they have actually issued a notice, and as you have said, Binance has actually challenged it, and I think now we will see how it goes forward. But the BWA stance has always been that, please, if you're operating in India, please comply with domestic laws. If you have to deduct TDS, please deduct TDS. If you have to pay GST, please deduct GST. In fact, our members, we have a lot of members who are in the taxation field who work with exchanges and consumers to help them file the returns and meet the requirements of the IT Act. As you know, there's a special section where you have to declare the assets. The calculation of tax on this has now more or less been automated, so you can actually do this. So the BWA's effort is really to get all its members and everybody operating in the community comply with the local laws and be there. And if there's some notice and the company is challenged, we'll have to wait for the outcome of things here.
So, Mr. Chenoy, as a lot of work is being done, but this is not, it never promised to be an easy path to begin with. When you look at the Indian markets and when we look at Web3 and blockchain and crypto for that matter, how would you look at India participating into this? Where do you see the challenges? What is the outcome anticipated of this? And how do you see the vision ahead, road ahead from here?
So I think, Manisha, there are two aspects to this entire thing, right? As Chris Dixon puts it very nicely in his book, Read, Write, Own, there is the investment, which he calls the casino thing, and there's a computer, right? And the computer applications which is what is a very interesting part for India. And the linkage is very simple, that India has 12%, upwards of 12% of global manpower in these areas. We have over 1,000 plus startups in this space. And there are lots of small applications. We must understand that, we are somewhat like the early days of IT, where the only thing you could have was maybe the early versions of Excel or Word, etc., not the sophisticated versions that you have now. And then the applications are developing. So there are many applications. Many state governments are using this technology to do pilots in their states, and from areas of tokenization of land records or tokenization of real estate. The caste certificates in Gadchiroli were quoted by the Niti Aayog as a very good example. In UP, who have now filings or FIRs on the blockchain. We have over 35 to 40 applications in approximately 18 to 20 states, right? And those are that are known. There's many more things happening in different states, right? Where this is happening. And if you look at Web3 and you look at the metaverse space, right, and the ABGC space, there's a lot of, almost all states are looking at state level policies, etc. here. Now, what's going to happen in the future is, like we moved from Web 1 to Web 2, where it took some time to move, all Web 2 applications initially and more new applications. The challenge that is happening now is a lot of people are trying to convert Web 2 applications to Web 3 applications, but there are a lot of new applications which are there when Indian startups around the country are doing, and they're doing pilots and testing it. And I'm sure we could actually get world beaters, even if we could layer 2 technology, right? Polygon is actually an Indian company, okay? And it's up there amongst the best companies. A lot of people don't know that Brave, which is competing among the top 4 browsers, is actually based was set up by Indian founders, although they have set it up outside of India. And therefore, the statement recently by the Finance Ministry that they're looking at coming out with a policy to regulate this space is very, very welcome. We will be working fully in partnership with them to ensure that India can actually add nearly close to $1.1 trillion if we actually give good support to this sector going forward. And that is where I think all companies and the youth of India can actually do that. So Indians spend a lot of time on using their phones and using the web, etc. Today, there's very little opportunity for them to monetize it. But Web3 gives the opportunity where people will be able to monetize it and earn while sitting in India, and will create a lot more entrepreneurial opportunities going forward.
Absolutely, Mr. Chenoy, we hear that, but I also get your point about best practices within India, full compliance to the Indian laws. And as you mentioned, that there are 35 to 40 applications in 18 to 20 Indian states which are using Web3 and blockchain. I mean, that perhaps is the way forward. But as of now, certain issues, and as you said, the community clearly seems to be working towards that. But thank you so much for joining in and putting in a light on all of those matters. But with that, that's completely out of time on Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.